This conference will now be recorded.
All righty, thank you. So here we go with our second in the series of the tech discussions for Thunder Laser. So I'm glad everybody on here could join us. Hopefully some more people will pop in. Looks like we got a good group here. So I don't really have an agenda. It's kind of a roundtable geared toward people that have any kind of halfway technical questions. And I guess we can veer off that some. It doesn't have to be so techie geek. Or any prospective Thunder owners that may have questions about the machine and that kind of thing. So I guess we could just start off with a couple of the usuals here, introducing themselves. I'm Brian with tech support, and I'll let Chris go because he's with our tech support as well, and then we'll take it from there.
I'm Chris with tech support as well. How you guys doing?
Great, great. And Robert is a frequent flyer on here too. Robert?
Yeah, Robert Kofad, owner of Computer Creations.
And caller 01. Caller 01. Is that Gary?
Hey, this is Gary Wyant. I own Vinyl Graphics Unlimited in Shippensville, PA.
And last but not least, Awesome. You're pretty frequent on these things too. If you want to say a word, he's also a partner with the Thunder stuff, as is Gary, or everybody is. We're all Thunder family, but you know.
Yes, this is awesome. Yeah, I'm like the coolest dude in the group, I guess. 4 years Thunder user, Nova 24, and just love the machine.
Awesome, cool. So, Jack, I see you're on. How are you?
Good.
All right. So, are you a current user or are you prospective?
Perspective. Just looking to see what you guys are doing out there.
Gotcha. Okay. And I see Grant on here. We speak quite a bit. How are you?
Howdy, I'm good.
Good. And it looks like John joined us.
Good evening, all.
Hey there. How are you? And are you a prospective Thunder family member as well?
I'm a father in waiting. Hopefully soon.
Great. So, so I guess if anybody has anything relevant they want to talk about or anything like that, or any questions, we can just kind of go at it and see how it goes.
I just ask the new users or wannabes, what is it that's holding you back from going after the Thunder?
Or what are you looking for that maybe we could tip the scale with or something like that?
Well, I already paid for mine, so it's on its way. So
yeah, you don't have a choice now. You're stuck with us.
Right.
Don't
Jack,
be shy. We're not going to sell it to you. We're just asking so we can see if we can help you decide which way you want to go. If it's not a Thunder, we're not going to hate you. We're just going to kick you out of the group right now.
So, okay, looks like we got somebody else going to pop in here. Jack, I don't know if you just want to hang out or if you have any specific questions or anything for the group that you might want to share or ask. Looks like that's probably Jason Reif, I would assume.
God, not him.
Hey man, he makes the best rotary on the planet. Don't be dissing him
That's
now.
right.
Are there any other rotaries? I didn't realize there were rotaries. There's this heavy brick with wheels on it.
There's the run of the mill stuff that you see, like that roller that we used to sell prior to this one. Not that it was terrible, it just was nowhere near, the level of build quality and everything and flexibility that this one that we have now is. But yeah, there are quite a few other ones out there. I haven't been very impressed with any of them. Not that they're terrible, not that they're badly designed or anything like that. They're just not the bee's knees like the Rotoboss and the Lowboy.
Sorry, I wasn't stressful enough on my sarcasm there.
You're gonna have to be more sarcastic than that for me to pick it up. Sometimes I don't take those cues.
What's going on, fellas? It's Jason.
How's it going? Yeah, we were just talking about you. Were your ears burning?
Yeah, no, I heard it. I'm just trying to get my video up and going, but it's not
Gotcha.
coming up.
We don't need to see you.
Yeah, you probably don't want to.
Yeah, as long as the rollers work, that's all that matters.
Probably what you said about you. Well, John, since you're already in waiting, is there anything that concerns you as far as preparation or getting ready for the machine or anything like that?
Well, the only thing I have to do is I'm obviously going to have to build a table. And I know that someone put a video out who built a table and gave some dimensions. So I'll have to build a table to pick it up, to raise it up.
Right.
Other than that, just kind of nervous. I have no experience whatsoever. And I'm willing to put in the time to learn and ask questions. Right now I have 1,000 questions and I don't want to take up your whole day.
Sure.
But
Ask away.
Yeah, it looks like you might have the floor. So feel free.
The other
did
guy
John
that's
get?
waiting, what laser is he looking at? The one
Sounds
that's not sure what, he's a prospective customer. What laser is he looking at? What size?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So yeah, we'll come back to him. He might not be listening. But John, it sounds like you're getting a Nova 24 then. Which let's see, awesome. You got a Nova 24. Robert does. Grant, forget.
I have the big one, the 63.
Oh yeah, okay, you got the big boy. So yeah.
well, I ordered it with the rotary, so I want to get it. I want to get it all set up and then start learning how to use it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
cuts
get the
are
camera.
a huge thing.
I didn't get the camera with it. I did have some questions about it. I was looking at your camera on Thunder's website, and then I looked at the camera on Lightburn's website. There's a huge price difference. And,
Right.
I did ask a couple of times to Thunder, was there an extra value added? Was Thunder doing or giving something that added an extra value to what they were selling? Obviously, everybody's got to make $1. I understand that.
Right.
But the difference was really huge.
Yeah. And quite honestly, there's not a whole lot of difference other than we put the package together and provide some instructions and a couple of cables and adapters and that kind of thing. But it's still the Lightburn camera. We had published for a long time the cameras that all the machines needed, and we still constantly got the, hey, are you going to put the camera together thing? So we did. That's not to say that's the only option. That's just our solution. So, and there is a little bit of difference there. And at the same time, we're picking up a lot of research and development, a lot of time, and we burn up a few different adapters, USB adapters, trying to test all that and make sure that the installation was going to be consistent across the machines and that kind of thing. So there's quite a bit of R&D built into providing a solution for something that there was already a solution for, if that makes sense. So,
well, look, everybody's got to make $1. I understand that, and I haven't made up my mind yet on the camera if I was going to go that way anyway. It just kind of raised the question as I was, because I ordered the rotary with it, but I figured I was going to hold off on the camera anyway, to see how necessary it was.
Right. Right. And for some people, it's a game changer. I do a lot of one-offs and a lot of testing and a lot of weird things, and it's great for that. If you do a lot of the same thing all the time, you may not even realize a huge benefit of it, So that is one of those things that you should feel out and do your research first. Absolutely.
I engrave a lot of photos on the basswood rounds, and the camera is a huge advantage.
Yeah, for alignment and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Because a lot of the rounds aren't round; they're weird shapes, and you can exactly make it to fit.
Right.
Well, that didn't sound very intelligent, but you know what I mean.
We know what you mean, Gary. So, actually, John, it looks like you have all of us here at your beck and call. So if you want to start on those 1,000 questions between us, I think we can probably knock them out.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, was
So
John the
basically,
one asking about
I haven't
the?
started playing with the software yet, because I don't want to start. I don't want to start the trial period, and then I don't know how long the laser is going to take to get here. So,
Gotcha.
and I'm sure there's a big learning curve, at least on the software side. You know, a little bit.
Yeah, a little. And if you wanted to go ahead and do that, if your trial starts getting close to the end, we can get it extended for a little bit for you, until you can get your key from us. So if that's something that you wanted to go ahead and jump into, I think we can keep you rolling until you get your machine there.
Oh, Rebecca sent me the code, the key code.
Oh, okay.
But I
Yeah.
won't enter it until the machine arrives, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, and hopefully it'll be before 30 days, so you can at least use up your trial and still be able to experiment and things like that. So.
If it takes that long, I'm going to wear out the carpet from walking back and forth, looking out the window for the truck that's coming.
The struggle is real.
Yeah. Yeah. Gary's in the holding pattern too, huh?
Hey, John,
Well, I
were
think
you
we're
asking
somewhere
about the
between here.
table?
Excuse me?
Were you asking about the table for your Nova?
Yeah, I got to build a table for it, so raise it up.
I think Robert, Mark, and Awesome have done something similar, so they'd be good to get. I don't see Mark's not on here tonight, but he's usually around.
And what's Jason got right behind him there?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you can see creativity of Jason. He just banged some wood together and put it up. I think Mark's done a pretty decent job with his. I decided to go a little more sophisticated. I went to Rockler and bought their system and just built it out on that. It worked really solid. And actually, if you look through, I think somewhere in one of the pictures, you'll actually see an image of my setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's just set up. It's basically all just scrap wood that I had laying around, and put it together with that, just with some bracing. You see the cross bracing on the corner and stuff like that to keep it from shaking when everything's moving. But you can do them fairly cheap.
Yeah, I just used 4x4s and 2x4s, and the real struggle that I had finding out, when I built that table was what height the table needed to be. So I had a 36 to a 38 inch working height for your table on your 24. So, and I think if you put wheels on it, like if you put 2 or 3 inch wheels on it, your table needs to be about 22 inches tall, not including the wheels. So that'll give you a good idea. The other thing is I give you the dimensions of that table I built on my review video that I did on the 24, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it, and I know you did give the dimensions, but I just didn't write it down.
Yeah, they're there, and there's been a couple other people that have built that table roughly the same size, and it seems to be working out pretty good.
Yeah, mine's total 30 inches with the wheels and all. The main thing is the chiller. I wanted the chiller and everything to fit on it. That's why I had the additional height there. I mean, the wheels that are on it are probably 3-inch wheels, I think. But I mean, I leave the front hatch open, so I mean I can see everything in there. I can get to it easily. Still got good ventilation and draw from the fan, so everything works out pretty good.
And your chiller fits under there okay, it looks like. And
oh yeah, well it just barely fits under it with the handles on it.
Yeah.
So it's just enough room for the chiller. And I just had those caster wheels laying around, so that's why I happened to use those. But you can really use anything you want, lower it, get it even lower, recess the wheels, whatever. But
yeah, that chiller is about 18 inches tall. So
yeah, the opening is 19 inches tall with the opening for the chiller to slide into, and then the fan and everything mounts to the back of it. The air pump, the fan, all that stuff mounts right along behind the machine on the table itself. So it's
how much room did you leave behind the machine for the vent pipe to come out and not get squashed? And
The tabletop itself is I have it 42 inches deep and 48 inches wide, and that putting the laser right up to the front edge of it, you have plenty of room in the back for the fan and the pump and everything like that to fit without any issues.
Yeah, the 24s come with that axial inline fan anyway, so it takes up a lot less space than those centrifugal ones that we send out, and they're quieter. So,
yeah, the fan's pretty good. I mean, I've noticed on mine, and I think I saw a post on it not too long ago about the seal breaking on it, because the way that the couplers fit together is not the best, but I mean, they work. You just got to be careful and mindful, because mine broke open when I moved it, so it was kind of halfway expected. But it is something people would need to watch out for so they don't fill their rooms full of smoke.
yeah. So,
Does the 24 take a 6-inch outlet on the fan, or is it a 4-inch?
6-inch.
yeah, all the Nova series are 6-inch. The only thing that I know of that's got a 4-inch is that Odin 22.
Okay. How does the inline fan compare, like, to the AC Infinity, like the 6-inch? Yes, 6.
I'm not sure about the specs on it or the speeds. I haven't had one to check it.
I'm actually fixing to get a couple from them. I'm going to throw them in and set them up and see how they work. I don't expect they'll work too much better as far as CFMs, but I mean, from what I understand, they're a lot quieter.
Yeah.
And they're kind of made for that kind of thing. They're purposely built for it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got the 6-inch Infinity, AC Infinity, that cloud line, but from what I understand, everybody with the 8s, that's almost double the CFM, I think, as the 6.
Yeah. I'm actually running a 10.
Yeah.
Who's running
a 10 on mine?
But like for a Nova 24, something that small, you don't need anything more. I mean, for the bigger downdraft table, then yeah, I could see, maxing it out like Chris. I mean, putting a 10 on there. I mean, it's probably overkill, but in a lot of cases, you want that more so than anything to keep the smoke away.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's not as much air volume in that 24, so
yeah, not really.
And like you, I keep that front door wide open. Brian, I got a question.
Does leaving the front door open help with exhausting the smoke?
It just helps get stuff in and out easier for me.
Mainly it's just an in and out thing. I mean, all the lasers are purposely built to some degree to control airflow through the machine. So, of course, having it off, it's going to limit the manufacturer's purpose behind that door with the louvers in it. But I mean,
provide makeup air.
What's that?
The issue is you need to provide makeup air. If you're pumping out 500 CFM or whatever from the laser, there's got to be some source of fresh air into wherever you are, or you're going to have a problem.
Well,
no, no.
Yeah, but I think the louvers are bigger because even if you think about it, there's that grate on there, and I haven't calculated the total surface area of that grate, but I would assume that grate is the most restrictive thing on the whole unit.
But just for instance, I mean, here's the panel. You got sorry about the light. You got your louvers here, and then on the bottom you have your deflector that throws the air down and allows it to come across the top of the table, which is ideally what you want because you want to remove the smoke off the surface. So, I mean, but taking this out, I mean, essentially, like taking a baffle out of a car muffler. I mean, you're allowing more airflow.
Yeah.
And you're not really hurting anything either.
Yeah, the only issue that I have is when I'm running stuff all the way to the front of the bed, and then some of the exhaust smoke escapes out the front. Otherwise, it's got plenty of suction to grab it from all around the bed. I don't have any issues.
Yeah, I've had the same issues with mine. cutting too close to the edge or burning too close to the edge, you're going to get smoke come out. But then again, if you have the door on, you're not going to have the ability to do that either. So, I mean, it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other kind of thing.
So,
What's
hey,
John planning on making with his new laser when it shows up?
I honestly don't really know yet. This is going to be something for my retirement to do. If I can make a couple of bucks with it, that'll be great. So I really don't know. I like working with acrylic, and I think doing some sublimation on acrylic will be nice. So I don't really know. I'm concerned that I can spend enough time to master the software and the machine, and then I'll decide which way to go with it. But I do like working with acrylic.
Well, you'll love that machine that you're getting. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do is work with acrylic, and it cuts it like butter. So you'll have a blast.
yeah, I like that medium too because it's so uniform. It's, you know, even across different brands, the composition is nearly the same, so you get that repeatability. So
I'm looking forward to it. I did a lot of research before I picked this particular laser. You know, basically the videos and Brian listening to you and some of your early videos had you wearing those glasses that I forget which cartoon character used to wear them all the time, but they were kind of interesting. But support and service was the key.
right. Yeah, that was my old Laser Gods days, and I haven't messed with that much, but I'm gonna try to revive it a little because that's kind of what started it all for me. So I don't want to let it die. But I put my little goggles on today, but my media advisor told me that I shouldn't wear those anymore. I need to be more professional. But every once in a while, I'll put them on and play around.
Well, you got my vote if you're looking for votes for people that watch your videos. Put the goggles back on.
All right.
He's got them right there, ready.
Oh boy.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. You
I like the good old the fancy lasering goggles.
Whatever gets the job done.
Yeah. So I know service, talking to John, I know service is a big part, or maybe the biggest part, if I remember correctly, of what you were looking at. But as far as the machines go, I know that had to play some factor. Can you expand on what you liked or didn't like about some of the features or things like that might have helped lean you that direction?
Well, I really think what it looked like to me was good build quality. I mean, obviously, it wasn't the cheapest laser I could have bought. You know, I started out looking at, you know, much cheaper. Obviously, everybody looks at the Glowforge after a while, you know, and that just didn't make sense when you start thinking about it because of the limitations. You can't go up, you can't put a rotor in it. So that was kind of out. And then I just kind of narrowed it down to a few and then started watching the videos and, you know, listening to people talk and talk about service and build quality. That was important.
Yeah.
And that's how I made the decision. I didn't let price be at the end. I didn't let price be the issue. I let, you know, service, because if you saved $1,000 and the machine didn't work and it was sitting in your shop and it wasn't doing anything, then what good was $1,000 you saved?
Sure.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, definitely the machines. Price wise, you gotta look at other things besides price when it comes to these things. I mean, I have 3 different lasers. I know Chris has got a couple different brands. It's kind of one of those things you get what you pay for, and or you get it to suit the purpose you're trying to do with it. If you're gonna do more commercial or more industrial production kind of things, I mean, it's worth spending the extra couple $1,000s to get something that's going to hold up and do that for you. So, I mean, and then the way the Thunder's built compared to the other machines that I have, I mean, it's hands down. I mean, it's definitely more suitable for that kind of work, the industrial, continuous use. The light thing on top, I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I don't know if that's really a selling point for me, but it is nice, especially if you got a big shop and you're working several things and you can look over and see if your job's done and whatnot. It's pretty convenient that way, but definitely, I've always told people when they ask, what machine to get, get the biggest you can afford, get the best you can afford, because there's nothing worse than getting to a point where you own a $15,000 machine that is no longer worth $15,000 to your business or to yourself. So
Worse is a $40,000 machine.
yeah, you got a couple of those collecting dust around the shop.
So
Brian, I got a question. I'm going to be writing or doing a video of a review of the Thunder, and something I haven't figured out yet of what the benefit is of having the roller versus the rail.
Well, from my experience, the linear rails, the linear guides, you don't have to use that white lithium grease. A lot of people use 3-in-1 oil or something like that, but it just seems to me that's a lot of open bearings and races and things like that to collect all the particulates and that kind of thing. And you constantly have to clean them and repack them. And there's a lot of maintenance there. Whereas these sealed roller bearings, you basically just wipe off the rails every once in a while and you're good to go, and they do recommend lubricating them with 3-in-1 oil, but I don't think that's for lubrication. I think it's to coat those stainless steel inserts because there's dissimilar metals there where it touches the aluminum and it causes corrosion. So I think that's really the only reason that you would need to apply anything to it. So that's what I like about it, because you basically just dust it off and keep going. You don't have to worry about all that maintenance, that intensive maintenance on those linear bearings.
What about speed wise? Identical?
Well, I would say it's superior because most of the machines with linear guide rails are only, limited to 500 millimeters per second. And that may be because of the motors, but I bet you if you put a 1,000 millimeter per second easy servo or a servo on there, it would probably rattle itself apart.
Well, you got to think of the linear rails you're talking about. Typically, from what I've seen in my experience, is that you have a lot heavier carriages, you have a lot heavier heads and momentum, which the linear rails actually do better to support that, to prevent any kind of wobble or slippage. But with the lighter heads, like on these that you're talking about right now, and then others that have, like, I know I talked to Brian about the Highland rails and things like that, or maybe it was Clay I talked to. The Highland rails are probably the best you can get, but they're also rather expensive, and they do need a substantial amount of maintenance on them to keep them in that condition. So I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, this is a lot easier maintenance wise because, like you said, you wipe it off and you go. The one concern I had with it that I seen somebody having issues with, and I don't know if it was rail related or not, but their head was kind of chattering as it go back and forth, and it was causing vibrations. I didn't follow the thread completely, so I don't know what the resolution to that was. But I do know with the dissimilar metals and everything, and gunk buildup, that can cause an issue with those particular metal bearing wheels or metal drive wheels like that. So,
as far as the vibration and stuff, the resonation that we were seeing, that was typically in the bigger machines, and they found what was going on with it, and they've changed the motors since then. And it was a little bit bearings, but there was one bad lot of bearings, and that was a while back, and I think we've switched all those out. So it wasn't actually the design, but they did, I think, get a batch of bearings that had some soft metal in them or something, so they failed prematurely, and they rectified that. But the biggest thing on that wavy lines, I think how they refer to it mostly, was around 30 to 50 millimeters per second. There was a resonation in the motor that matched the resonant frequency of the gantry, and that caused the belts to start shaking and doing some of that weird stuff. And they've rectified it.
Yeah, I know some of the other machines as well. Like if you try to overspeed the stepper motors, they'll skip steps and things. I've pushed mine to the. I mean, I've maxed it out several times doing delicate cuts and stuff like that, and actually got a couple videos on YouTube about it. But on mine at least, it never skipped a beat. I know the bigger machines, they have a heavier gantry, they have a heavier assembly, so obviously the speeds you got to kind of play around with it to get it to work right for the given design you're working on or complexity of the cut and things like that. So the biggest thing that I had a learning curve on this was the backlash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coming from other lasers. I mean, I'm not going to get into what they are, but other lasers. I mean, they don't go fast enough to worry about backlash because the max that most of them will run are anywhere between 300 and 500 millimeters a second is max.
Yeah.
So, you know, the laser can keep up with the pulse, can keep up with the speed and everything, so you don't have to worry about backlash, lead in, lead out, all that stuff. Whereas with this one, that was a little bit of a learning curve for me. Is going over 500, you have to start looking at your backlash. If you're getting fuzzy edges or like a shadow around the edges or something like that, where it's firing too soon or it's firing too late or whatever. But I mean, it was a pretty simple thing to come to grips with, but that was something that caught me off guard a little bit.
Yeah. So, I see Michael Garrett in there. He may just be sitting back listening.
Returning visitor.
Hey, just out of curiosity, Brian, to get you on this, how do I see who's in the chat, or can I see that?
You can go up to that people icon, I think, and it'll show a list. I don't know what your screen looks like. Mine actually has everybody on it. I have it set to view everyone.
No, we have A1, A8.
I don't know.
And I think you are the only one that has access.
All I can see is the active cameras. I can't see who's in the chat.
Yeah, there's a place in there somewhere, I think, to change it to watch who's talking or active cameras, and you can change your view to everyone, and that's the way I keep mine. I'm not sure on your end what it's going to look like or where it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm set to everyone too, and I can see everybody.
We just have attendee 10, 8, 12, 13, no names.
Huh. That's
I
weird.
guess if you didn't put your name, you don't see it. I've got my name, Brian. The rest of you look like attendees.
Yeah, I see everybody's name. I'll have to figure that out.
I can't see anybody's. Maybe it's just all I see is who's on camera. That's all I see.
Yeah, we'll have to put little name tags. Next time we'll make some name tags before. I'll start 10 minutes early.
Save it in the beard, Brian.
Anyway, not important.
I jumped off the phone and got onto it so where I can see you guys because everybody was giving Brian a hard time about his beard, so I had to get on and see how glorious it was.
Yeah. Nah, I was going to keep it going, and then I cut it into a goatee, and then I got tired of it the other day, and then I haven't messed with it since. So, yeah, I just got a message from Michael. His mic's not on, but he's just monitoring and checking everything out. So he's another good contributor to everything, and also a demo partner as well. So,
well, I got a technical question then for Chris, since Brian couldn't answer me.
Did I not answer you?
So I've got the old Nova 24, so I'm not blessed like some of the new ones with that auto sensing for focus thing. If I wanted to add that, you guys sell that separately?
We've got the parts. It's not really a kit. You can
as long as you have the Ruida controller, you can add it. I mean,
yeah, it just takes the place of the in-stop, the Max Z in-stop. So they would just take the place of that. But yeah, I mean, we've got the sensors. I can find out what they are. And you'll have to, of course, they're active, so you'll have to get them on a power source. But you've already got 24 volts there coming to the switch probably. No, it might be switching to ground. But anyway, yeah, that wouldn't be a huge deal. You did ask me about that before.
Yeah, you ignored me.
Yeah, hang on.
I thought it was only me.
I'm gonna write it down.
Hey, Brian, I got a question for you about the autofocus system.
Mhm.
Are they looking to do anything with that to improve on that? And I know I've brought this to your attention before, and I know other people have had the issues as well, especially with like clear acrylic or things like that, where the sensor won't pick it up and crash in the head and everything. I mean, I know that's something that's not for the infrared system. I know it's not something easily fixed. However, widening the visual path of it seems to be an issue, because everything you have to push all the way to the back or wherever your sensor is, and then pull it forward where you want to use it. Where if they put active sensors, like at least on the bigger machines, I'm not sure how many they have, but I know on my 24 there's one, and it's about 2/3 of the way back. So especially with doing tumblers, because I use autofocus for my tumblers, I'll push it back there, I'll autofocus, and then I'll pull the rotary back to the front to use it. But you know if there's anything in the works for them kind of making like a bar instead of just having those two little sensors?
Yeah, I don't think so, and I don't know if they could maybe just move those closer to the front. I'm not really sure why they're where they are exactly. I know that being infrared causes a problem with translucent and transparent items, and typically I'll just tell somebody put a piece of tape on the edges, and trim it off. And I know that's a little extra work. And I had one guy actually 3D print a bunch of shims in different thicknesses. And if he's got a piece of, say, 3/8 inch acrylic, he'll just throw a shim up there and set the focus of it, use material in. But as far as the UV sensors go, they used to have a plunger type like a lot of them do on the head. But there's a lot of room for error with those. If they miss whatever they're going to hit, or if they go down in the honeycomb or any of that stuff, you're crashing stuff. So I kind of like that it is that whole light curtain across, and it uses it as the max. But yeah, I see what you're saying about the
I agree with it. I agree with the use of it, because I mean, you're taking the plunger off the head, it's reducing the head weight and all that stuff. And I like the sensor part, but I think making sure people are aware of the issue that it has would be pretty crucial. I don't know. I haven't looked through the website lately to see any kind of information on that, but I don't recall ever seeing anything specific to that would, obviously it's not a big issue, but it is something where I've personally had an issue with the head. Luckily, it didn't crash because it wasn't far enough back.
Yeah.
The head to hit. The head went right down in the honeycomb before I could stop it. But I mean, other people may not be so lucky, and that would, prevent a lot of issues in the future. I mean, aside from that, just having more than one sensor. Sorry?
That could probably be cured pretty easy with running a couple of series. Even just having 2 sensors up front and 2 sensors in the rear, at least now you have 2 areas of the bed rather than, 2/3 of the way back.
Well, I mean, even if they had, because one's an active and one's a passive sensor. Obviously, they're not both active, I don't believe. But just having one that's more of a fan, a fan pattern, instead of just having a narrow beam, have it more of a fan. And then have the pickup, a couple set of pickups on the other side that can read that whole area would help a lot. Like I said, I'm not knocking it. I do like it. It's a lot more precise and everything, but it's just one of those things that people need to be aware of and cautious of.
Yeah, and that's definitely something we're looking to innovate. So any of that kind of feedback, I do make a note of it, and we send it back to China to engineering and let them do. I had Michael send me his mic's not working. I had him send me a question. He was wondering about the ThunderCam system, if it can be used like that RD Vision camera system for aligning a print and then cutting it, like for when you're doing UV printing or something like that. And it can, Michael, but you don't even need the camera to do that. It's got print and cut built in, and you don't even need the camera to facilitate that. You can put the registration marks on there and do contour cuts or whatever in Lightburn without the camera or with it, but that function does not require the camera. So
Someone did a video on that the other day, doing the registration marks.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video. I was just gonna ask Chris if he's played with that at all.
I'm about to do a video of the new cut feature and using those registration marks to do that. So that's on my list.
Cool. So, Robert, you look like you want to say something, man.
Oh, I was just going to say, Brian, that I completely agree with Jason on the autofocus stuff. I think the only concern I would have with a wider beam is when you stick your rotary in there, you've got less room to move it around before it's going to be shutting it down, and you can't move your Z. So, but with it being so far back, it's a pain to have to autofocus and then bring your work forward.
And I've actually heard that enough times that I'd need to bring it to attention. So yeah, but now let me say this: whenever I show somebody how to use the rotary, that's one time that I recommend that they manually focus, because if it hits the tower, if it picks up the tower or something like that, or doesn't get dead center, that could cause problems. So generally, when I instruct people to use the rotary, I always have them manually focus anyway.
Yeah,
but
I do as well, Brian. But the issue that I have is the adjustment knob on the right-hand side of the rotary. If you don't have that behind that sensor, it's not going to let your Z move.
Yeah, it will. It'll interrupt that. So what do you think about just moving that entire sensor array forward, where it's in the front third instead of the rear third? I mean, because they are on the rear third,
or even just more towards the center would be sufficient, I think. Yep. And what I was saying about the rotary, I hope nobody takes it the wrong way, but I wasn't trying to recommend people use the autofocus on the rotary. I mean, because even with some of the other machines, people have had the head crash and stuff because it slips off, the pin slips off, or the head slips off, and it crushes a cup. Luckily, none's crushed the rotary, but that's just something I do. But I have mainly when I'm doing what's that?
I said you can do that. You make the rotaries. You can fix it.
Yeah. I can fix it pretty easy. But no, I mean the only time I normally use autofocus is when I do a spray coating on the cup. Mainly because if you're dragging a shim across it to get your 6 mil, you're probably going to wear off some of the coating. So that's typically when I use the autofocus. But I'm not condoning or recommending people do that on a regular basis by any means. But it was an example, more or less.
There's a few little things that I probably need to mention, like that with the autofocus, especially with the transparent things. And also I've been trying to tell people more, and I need to make a knowledge-based article about it, about taking your 4-inch head out and replacing it with your 2 and having it up at the top. I'll figure that out, but I tore up my bed, my honeycomb. I drug my head through my honeycomb because that 4-inch head's a lot taller. So that was fun, but luckily it didn't tear up. It was built like a tank. It took it like a man. It just ran right through it. So
that's another good thing about them, though. They're built, the lasers are built well enough to kind of take that abuse periodically.
You ought to take a photo, print out a print of that, your honeycomb, and include that with all the 4-inch lasers you sell, and people would see that and they wouldn't end up taking a chance.
That's a good point. And instruction sheets are in the works for all of that stuff, because up till now we've just been sending it to them and referring everybody to the resources that are online. So that's some other stuff that we're looking at.
New visitor.
Hey, Robert.
Robert, you're on mute, bud.
Mike's off.
Hey, sorry about that. Brian, one thing, just some input from my perspective. If there's a way, I think the Nova 24 is as good as it gets, but what it would take it to the next level for me would be to add drop tray that comes in. I made that drop tray and I've been using it for about 2 weeks, and I'm amazed on how much cleaner the bottom of my machine is. Just because you have lips on the front and the back, not only the sides. I cleaned it out today and there was hardly anything to clean out. So if they could, make a nice little slide out drop tray, I think that would just take it to the next level.
I've got, let me look at something here.
The problem with that, I see it, and I've thought about doing something similar, is you lose a lot of room in the bottom of those things by doing that. I mean, I don't know what your system looks like. Maybe it's different from what I had thought of, but
Actually, Brian, I think that's a necessity for China to know about, because even on the 60 and the 50, we don't have drop trays, and you have your belts right down there, and as you're dropping shit down there, it's inevitability. Eventually, something's going to get caught in that belt drive.
Yeah, well, they're doing it. See here? I don't know. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
What machine is that?
I'm not sure, but starting from container number 23, and I don't know which one that is, this is going to be on all of the Novas except the 24. They're working on the 24, and it'll come out as soon as they can get it.
Good deal.
So
there you go. Ask and you shall receive.
This is in our service, and you'll notice that the new controllers are going out now. It says menu instead of ZU, and it has Z-axis controls separate now. That's one of the changes. The other one is the chiller is now powered from the laser, so there's no separate circuit, and that's rolling out. Yeah, and
awesome.
They're changing gear ratios to help with some things, to help with some of that other stuff. They've changed the motors and the drivers. This is what I was talking about in those bigger machines on the 51 and 63 to help with the smoothness. They're using totally new motors and drivers. So, they are innovating, and they're trying to keep us up to date on it. Only 3 machines have the drop tray right now. So 3 people are lucky to get a drop tray, but the rest of them are coming.
Now, with that, just as a caveat for the rotaries, I know you've been trying to come up with some numbers and stuff. Numbers are going to probably change, and I'm assuming the motors for the rotaries aren't going to need to change. They're probably going to be the same, correct?
Yeah, those motors can stay the same. As a matter of fact, they've got onboard drivers, so you're getting the raw direction step directly out of the controller. So whatever motor that we outfit them with will work fine on that.
Okay, well, I didn't know well, that's true. You're not running off the Y like most of them are.
Right, yeah, we're used to the U-axis, so that frees us up to not have to make that change across the board. Yeah.
Forget I said that.
Yeah, but that's for the new people. Old people like myself, we still have the Y we got to deal with. Switch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for the 5-pin?
Yeah.
Yep.
What are you still doing here? Why are you on this call?
Okay, I see how it is. Take on the old people. I see how it is. I'll check with you in a couple years when you're putting grease on your elbows and knees to start the day off.
I do that now. Cool. Well, we're getting close to the hour mark. Has anybody else got anything? Gary, you've been kind of quiet over there, man. He's still peering out the window looking for a UPS truck. He must have stepped away for a minute. John, do you have anything else that's on your mind?
Well, I'm enjoying watching you guys, and I'm listening and trying to absorb as much as I can. And I really appreciate this kind of stuff because, the way to learn is sharing knowledge between everybody. And, I appreciate the opportunity to do this.
Sure.
Some of it's still confusing to me, though, and maybe you have to explain to me the advantage of a 4-inch head over a 2-inch one. And right now, I'm just trying to learn all I can.
Gotcha.
Where are you located, John? It sounds like you might be up north somewhere.
I certainly am. New York. I'm in a suburb of New York City in a glorious place called Long Island.
Nice.
Not far from Montauk. I guess everybody's heard of Montauk.
Were you having a question about the 2-inch versus the 4-inch, or were you just making a statement?
Well, no, I heard you guys talking about the 4-inch, the crashing into the tray, and I don't know the advantage of using what the 4-inch shows as an advantage over the 2-inch. And it's something to learn down the road, I guess.
Okay. Well, if you have a question, we can answer it. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's quite a question or not, or what, but
we can explain the differences.
Now, like your 2-inch obviously is a shorter range lens setup. Your 4-inch is a longer range, and the biggest benefit to a 4-inch is cutting thicker material. Your kerf allows your kerf to be straighter, longer, because the beam, when it intersects, has a longer path as a 4-inch. Also, I've noticed a lot if you're doing if you don't have a rotary, or you're doing something with a semicircle to it, using a 4-inch lens allows you to reach further down that radius than a 2-inch.
Yeah, like a flask or something.
Yeah, so you can still get that slight radius where you normally wouldn't be able to get much more than probably a 1/16 of an inch off of that flat surface before you start getting distortion. You're now going to get probably closer to a 1/4 inch and have an actual visual. I guess I'm not I'm not saying what I mean. You won't lose the image quality so much as you would with the 2-inch. So there's a couple reasons for that. I think a 2-inch is rated up to about 3/16 to maybe a 1/4 inch. Correct me if I'm wrong, the other guys. And then the 4-inches, you can go up. I've gone up to 1-inch acrylic and 3/4 inch plywood with a 4-inch, and the curve is still as straight as an arrow. So it really just depends on what you're doing with it, what you're trying to accomplish, and you can kind of finagle things around a little bit to have it work a little better in your favor.
Yeah. So yeah, and it does have a lot to do with focal distance and the convergence and the divergence. And usually they recommend the 4-inch for things over 10 millimeters. Like 3-inch foam, I do some foam like for some gun cases and that kind of thing. It works real well for that. Or like he said, you can hit a longer focus, on some things. Now there's a trade-off there though. Chris might go a little bit more in depth on that, but your spot size is actually double, and you have the same amount of power, so you're spreading that power across that entire beam, so your beam density is less, which relates to actually lower power. So you have to make some adjustments for that, but there's a little bit of a sacrifice there, but it's definitely a benefit if you are cutting thicker things a lot.
Yeah, power and speed are definitely big factors when it comes to using a 4-inch for cutting, especially. Like you said, you either have to slow it down, which if you're dealing with wood, you may not be able to do because you'll burn it, or you may have to speed it up, or both, depending on what the situation calls for.
So would it also help you reaching in something like if you wanted to do like a bowl, like a wooden bowl, and you wanted to do something at the bottom of the bowl, the longer edge, help you reach down?
You can absolutely take off the nozzle and have a lot more distance since it is going a little bit further. That's always a recommendation. And to put it in New Jersey and New York terms, say a 2-inch lens has power for this distance, a 4-inch lens is going to carry power much longer. And that's really the biggest difference, is it's going to hold that power for a greater area, so that you can cut through thicker materials, or you can focus further away and have, like he said, like Jason said, have still contain power on an arc.
Yeah.
Now I understand. I understand it.
Hey, Brian, I was on mute. I didn't realize you were saying The new changes are coming on container 23. My laser was on container 22.
Was it?
One more kick in the groin.
You're getting the he's getting the smaller one though, right?
51.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's moving up a notch. So yeah, and that's the biggest gripe I've ever heard on everybody about Thunder is they keep always coming out with this newer, better stuff, and I'm stuck with the old stuff. Clay, poor Clay, I think he's even got some Mars machines over there still, So I got to hear that a lot. Now he's got one of the new ones. So.
Oh, good. You're talking about Clay. I thought you were talking about me again.
No.
I hear that too. I hear that too, Brian. You're not the only one.
How come mine doesn't have dual air assist? That was I did. I kind of pointed that at Awesome.
I hate you guys. I'm getting a different make. I'm gonna get a Nova this time.
Cool. Well, I don't really have anything else. I mean, we keep going. It doesn't matter to me. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to bounce around.
John, feel free to write down my name and hit me up on Facebook if you want to start going over Lightburn features. I'm more than happy to do like a Zoom session or something like that, and we can start getting the basis of it so you can hit the ground running.
And I'm not opposed to
what's your Facebook name? I can look you up.
Can you see my name under my face?
All I have is attendee number 2.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I can find you under that.
You want to shoot him an email?
You want my email?
Brian's already taken care of it. I could see him working his magic over there.
Yeah, I think I found you, John. You've got the New York hat on. It looks like you're sitting on a bus.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've got him, Chris. I'll send his profile over. I'll link his profile to you, and you guys are connected. And I don't have a problem with Chris. You can use this go-to because I use Ring Central for admin stuff during the day. And you're welcome to pull up a go-to meeting and schedule one if you want, and just actually go through Lightburn. It doesn't all have to be techie geek stuff, We could have one, So I'm open to set up this kind of forum for whatever we want to discuss. So that's an option as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We'd have to make a lab, because people start asking questions and it could veer so far off. We'd have to have a lab.
Maybe solicit some suggestions for a lab and then create it and then, kind of work on them. Like that. We can do one a month or something like that and kind of see how it goes. I don't want to overburden you. I know you got a lot of other stuff going on too.
Oh, he ain't got
it on my
own. We'll get Gary doing some too. We'll do some photos on wood.
Yeah.
How come you guys can see that stuff? I can't see nothing.
I mean, when he gets his laser.
Yeah. Everybody be jacked because I'm using Photograve.
I still use that. I'm the world's worst at trying to do photos. I need to pick up on some of y'all's mojo to do that stuff.
Yeah, Photograve.
I'm too new to it. I like the fact you don't have to do a lot of tests. The Photograve shows you the preview, and you can pretty much run it from the preview, and you're done.
Yeah,
and like
Gary,
the worst person I ever made.
Yeah,
myself.
Gary put he was talking to Photograph, and he actually got the specifications for our lasers, spot size and all of that stuff. They had a bunch of things that they needed, and he submitted that. So I believe, Gary, the way it works, I haven't gotten in there in a while, is you actually can pick the laser that you have.
Correct.
And it sets it up for that specific model or that line, that product series, which is another
Correct.
good thing. The Nova series is, from the 24 to the 63, the only major difference, besides some of the little stuff, is physical size and the tube power. The optics are the same for the most part. The motors are the same. There's some differences on the 63 now with the motors, but the controllers, there's so much that's standardized. We can actually have a legitimate discussion about speed and power and things like that, you know, and I think that's another thing that makes this whole series great, is being able to have those kinds of conversations. So, but yeah, definitely. Well, that's all I got, guys. I think I'm gonna go make a sandwich or something.
Thanks, Brian.
You are very welcome. Awesome. And anybody got any last thoughts? I guess we're good.
I'm good.
We're good.
I know your camera was, or your audio was messed up, but I'm glad you listened in anyway and were shooting me some things. Always good feedback, no matter how we get it. And everybody else, a lot of the usual guys on here, so that's cool. I'm glad you came on, Jason. I think that'll be an awesome thing. So I'm liking the way this is going.
I'll try to get on here as much as I can. I don't know how often it's weekly, I guess, right?
Yeah, I do it weekly, every other week on, you know, it's in the morning. I forget when. Tuesdays at 10, I think, and then Thursdays at 7, or it might be all the way on Thursday. I've got the calendar put up, but I'll start posting them.
Yeah, just let me know. I'll be glad to hop on here.
Okay.
Help with
Cool.
questions, whatever.
All right.
I
And
got
John,
nothing better to do today.
faded on here. And you know, of course, if you have any other questions in the meantime, you can give me a shout. I'm here every day. So
I will be bugging you, I'm sure.
okay,
But
that's good.
I saw that video you did with the 3-hour call helping somebody set up. I promise I won't keep you 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, so some of those first walkthroughs, yeah.
Yeah,
And one of
3
them got
hours
pretty.
was.
So
I had lunch, dinner in between while the video was playing.
I'm surprised you were able to watch me that long at once, but
I was learning a lot of stuff, so that's why I watched. You know.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys. Push the button on this thing and stop recording. And